Imagine you're just sitting around, chatting with friends, and suddenly the conversation just takes flight. One idea sparks another, and it leads you down these completely unexpected paths of knowledge. Well, that's precisely the kind of journey we're on today.
And for this deep dive, we're doing something, well, a little unique, I think. We're taking a single source. It's a transcript from a program called Casual Talk. And we're trying to pull out the most important nuggets of insight. Almost like we're listening in on that truly unscripted conversation ourselves. It's really about uncovering the wisdom that you sometimes find hidden in that kind of spontaneity.
Exactly. So our mission today is to discover what a conversation that seems casual on the surface can actually reveal. Things like the incredible power of storytelling, the profound, often just unwavering impact of dedicated teachers, and also our deep sort of emotional connection to the places and memories that really shape who we are. You'll hear how these topics, they actually intertwine in some pretty surprising ways.
The source material itself is quite fascinating. This Casual Talk program, it originates from Rifa FM 102.2. That's at Rifa International University in Pakistan, and it's hosted by Irfan Bhatti. And the whole concept, it's built around having discussions without a topic decided beforehand.
Right.
They have this phrase in Urdu, "Baat se baat niklegi."
Which means?
Yeah, it means like one thing just leads to another. The conversation just flows organically.
Oh, I love that. And the inspiration for this show is fantastic, too. It apparently came from the host's long-held wish, this desire to record the insightful, often really brilliant discussions, the ones that took place during lunch breaks among his colleagues at Rifa Institute of Media Sciences. He just kept thinking, apparently I should be recording this.
Yeah, you can imagine. And there's even a charming irony right at the start of it all. For the very first episode of a show called Casual Talk, the host wore a tie, and one of his guests wore a suit.
No way! Why?
Well, it turns out they were both coming straight from a visit to the passport office.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of highlights how even those, more formal moments can lead in to these casual, profound insights.
That's perfect. It just goes to show you, this isn't just about one specific show, is it? It's really about that universal human tendency we all have to learn and connect through shared experience, even in the most informal settings. So we aim to uncover those layers of wisdom for you today. So let's jump right into our first segment then, because the conversation, it pretty quickly turns to the transformative power of storytelling. One of the main guests on Casual Talk is Ishfaq. He's an author known for his incredibly impactful work.
Right, and one really striking detail about his book, Gentleman Bismillah, is its, phenomenal popularity. The source mentions it went through 28 editions.
28? Wow.
Yeah, and apparently in Urdu literature, if a writer gets maybe 2 or 4 editions, they're considered a huge success. So 28 is, almost unheard of.
That's remarkable. But what's truly amazing is how this book, which actually details the difficult realities of army life, how it ended up inspiring this significant trend among young people to actually join the armed forces. They were captivated by the adventurous aspects, apparently. It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, what do you think is at the heart of that paradox, the appeal of adventure, even when the hardship is laid totally bare?
That's a fantastic question. I think the key insight here is probably how storytelling, even when it's depicting these really arduous realities, it can still activate that universal human desire for purpose, for adventure. It shows that narratives don't just reflect reality, they can actively shape it. They reframe perception, ignite ambition.
That makes sense.
For instance, they share this anecdote of a young man who called in. He wanted to express how the book helped him finally understand his brother's experiences at Pakistan Military Academy, PMA they call it. Apparently his brother would describe things, but the book somehow made it real for him.
And the influence was so widespread, too. They mentioned military officials, even generals and brigadiers, who would literally stand up when they met Ishfaq. And they'd proudly say they joined the army after reading Gentleman Bismillah. I mean, that shows such a deep, lasting influence, way beyond just entertainment.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just military men either. The discussion also mentioned how even girls would recommend it, like as a must-read for boys considering an army career, treating it almost like a required textbook.
That's fascinating. And the critical reception was equally powerful. Shamim Akhtar, who was the editor of a prominent Karachi weekly publication, she wrote this review after reading it, saying she felt as if she herself had participated in the military training described in the book. That's just the power of truly vivid, immersive storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah, the power of a book like Gentleman Bismillah to shape lives is just, it's undeniable. And this leads us pretty naturally to reflect on another profound influence, one that quietly shapes generations: the enduring legacy, the unwavering dedication of teachers. Right. The source really highlights the profound respect teachers historically commanded in society. There's this anecdote about a police officer who let a student go, just let him off, after learning the young man was studying. That really reflects a deep-seated reverence for knowledge and for those who impart it.
We still see glimmers of that today, don't we, sometimes? They mentioned those viral social media clips showing students' deep emotional reactions when their teachers retire. Entire schools crying. There's apparently a scene from a school in Peshawar where the whole school just broke down. It really demonstrates that lasting emotional connection. But how do you think that compares to the past? Is it the same?
That's a crucial point. The conversation in the source, it does contrast the maybe commercialization of modern education with the sincerity and, frankly, self-sacrifice of teachers in the past. It does raise the question what we might have lost, in that shift.
The source shared a particularly vivid memory about a teacher's dedication. It really resonated with me. I had a teacher, we respectfully called him Munshi, which is a title often used for teachers in that region. He was, physically strict, but incredibly dedicated. He would always start class exactly on time, demanding we take out our slates, those small writing boards. And get this, he would travel by bicycle to exam centers, often far from his home, in the evening shift, just to check on his students' answers. And if someone made a mistake, he'd literally hit his own head in despair.
Wow. That's intense.
It is. That's a different level of dedication, isn't it?
Absolutely. That intensity, that direct emotional investment, it truly underscores the self-sacrificing nature of so many teachers from that era. And the Casual Talk hosts, they shared a powerful analogy from another primary teacher, Munshi Sardar Ali. On his last day, he gave this long speech, and he used this analogy saying, "A teacher is like a camel, on whose shoulders one becomes a king, but the camel itself only eats bones."
Oh, that's powerful.
Isn't it? It just vividly illustrates the self-sacrificing nature of true teaching.
And what's also clear is that for these educators, teaching wasn't just a job, it was really a mission to build character.
Precisely. And this dedication to character building is beautifully encapsulated in the story of Abdul Malik. He was affectionately called Chacha, like a term of endearment, like uncle.
Yeah.
He was the headmaster from Shulam's Tamir-e-Milat school. Apparently his mere presence, his angry eyes, were enough to command discipline. He never needed to actually scold anyone.
Just the look was enough.
Exactly. And the school's mission was truly remarkable: to produce students whose character, whose speech, would immediately identify them as being from Tamir-e-Milat.
And there's proof of this. There's a compelling anecdote. The host's cousin, who was a Tamir-e-Milat student, was once accused of lying about a lost train ticket. And he apparently got really angry and declared, "We don't lie. We are from Tamir-e-Milat school." And the ticket checker, hearing this, actually backed down and let him go.
That's incredible. It's an amazing testament to the power of reputation and the character instilled by a school like that.
Which makes it quite sad then to hear how this esteemed school apparently lost its standard, its identity, after it was nationalized during Bhutto's era.
Yeah, it really highlights the detrimental impact that, governmental changes or maybe commercialization can have on institutions that really prioritize values over profit. The memories of the hostile life under Chacha were really vivid, though, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Waking before dawn for the mosque, with Chacha himself overseeing and correcting to the call to prayer recitation, and the provision of free zero-period math classes before 9 a.m., teachers just dedicating their time, no extra charge.
That's a perfect example of how commitment often went way beyond the classroom walls. The source also mentioned another primary school teacher, Master Ashik. He apparently made sure all his students attended Fajr prayers, the dawn prayers in congregation. He'd even make surprise visits to mosques right after the salam, the end of prayer, just to see who was actually there. It's about building a whole person, isn't it? A holistic individual.
It really is. And these stories, they make you reflect on some of the philosophical insights shared in the source material. Allama Iqbal, the renowned South Asian philosopher and poet, he spoke of the blessing of waking up early. And Alexander the Great's quote about having two fathers, one who brought him to earth and his teacher who took him from earth to heaven. That just eloquently captures this profound debt we owe to educators.
And Rumi's beautiful sentiment, "The one who taught me everything is my teacher. I am his slave." That truly underscores the deep, almost spiritual reverence for knowledge and those who impart it. The discussion even recounted the story of an Italian judge who stood up in court. showed immense respect to a teacher, and let him go free. That seems to be a universal theme, doesn't it? The revered status of educators across different cultures.
Okay, so our deep dive continues, and the conversation takes another turn now. It moves towards nature, nostalgia, and the often unseen transformations happening around us.
Yeah, there's a writer mentioned in the source who shared this beautiful description of village mornings, starting with the azan, often without loudspeakers back then, followed by those familiar sounds of cows and buffaloes asking for their fodder. It paints such a vivid, almost sensory picture of a past way of life. But then, the pain of progress kind of comes into view. The source introduces verses by the poet Salim Kawsar, and they reflect on how development, building roads, for example, has led to the loss of natural pathways, ancient trees, those communal gathering spots they called chapels.
Right, the chapels.
Yeah, and the imagery used is really poignant: fingers cut by pens and nameplates torn by wind. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that progress often comes with a hidden cost, a cost to heritage, to community.
And this leads into a truly evocative story about a massive ancient banyan tree in a haveli, a traditional mansion. This tree, it had hosted village weddings, countless gatherings. It was home to thousands of birds. But it withered and died after the havela was divided up among many different owners, leaving the tree stranded right in the middle. And the speaker's observation that trees can somehow feel loss and even mourn, it highlights this deeper, often overlooked connection we have to nature and our environment. It's almost a metaphor, isn't it, for how fragmented communities can lose their life force.
It reminds me of how the poets Mir and Ghalib, both masters of Urdu poetry, how they often spoke to themes of loss and change and just the passage of time. Their verses are actually woven into the discussion in the source material, and they add this real emotional depth to this idea of transformation and the subtle ways our world changes around us, often unnoticed. This theme of deep connection and preservation, whether it's community, nature, or memory, it leads us pretty naturally into our final segment, which focuses on the sacred and the preserved.
Yes, and one really powerful example shared is the story from Masjid-i-Nabawi in Medina, Saudi Arabia. That's one of Islam's holiest sites. They tell of the date palm stump known as al-Hana. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to lean against it while delivering sermons. But when a minbar, a pulpit, was built and he started using that instead, the stump reportedly cried out, actually made a sound because it missed his presence.
Wow.
Yeah. This stump, al-Hana, meaning the crying one, it's now preserved in the mosque. It symbolizes this deep, almost emotional connection between creation and its reverence for the sacred.
And there's another tree mentioned too, wasn't there? Near Masjid-i-Aqsa in Jerusalem, another incredibly significant holy site in Islam. It's said to have remained loyal to the Prophet, and it's also preserved.
That's right. It just reinforces this theme of sacred natural elements and the powerful idea of loyalty, of memory embedded within places and things. It really makes you wonder about the emotional resonance of places and even objects.
So what does this all mean? I mean, we've just taken this incredible, really surprising journey in our deep dive today. A conversation labeled casual talk effortlessly went from inspiring literature and military life to the profound impact of dedicated teachers, the changing face of villages, and even the sacredness of preserved historical and natural elements. It's just proof, I think, that insights can come from anywhere, really.
Absolutely. And this really emphasizes how true insights often emerge not from, rigid agendas or pre-planned topics, but from that organic flow of genuine conversation, of shared experience. This deep dive has truly shown how personal anecdotes, historical details, they can illuminate these huge universal themes in the most unexpected ways.
It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it, what seemingly casual conversations or maybe forgotten stories in your own life might hold profound lessons or unexpected connections just waiting for you to sort of deep dive into them. How might you actively seek out those unscripted moments of learning?
And before we wrap up, we really want to express our gratitude to the guests, the voices from that original source material, the Casual Talk program, especially Kanun Ishfaq and the host himself, Irfan Bhatti.
Yes, absolutely. And a special shout out to their broadcast engineer, Wasim Musa, for making that initial program possible in the first place. This deep dive, much like the original Casual Talk, it just flowed naturally, proving, I think, the power of simply letting ideas lead the way. Until next time.